At the beginning of this canto, the poets and Dante climb to the top of the stony chasm that ends the 8th circle and proceeds to the 9th circle and final, which is a dark pit filled with ice and cold vast winds caused by the beating of Lucifer's wings. Dante believes he sees towers, however, Virgil reassures him that they are actually giants. One of the giants named Nimrod, the legendary king of Babylon, attempted to build the Tower of Babel to reach heaven, but was prevented from doing so due to a confusion of tongues. Nimrod is subjected to spend eternity babbling without comprehension of himself or others around him. The second giant, Ephialtes, son of Neptune, warred against the gods, and so has his arms bound to himself, so he could do no harm. The third giant, Antaeus, is in the 9th circle due to many murders he committed. The giants serve as another terror that Dante must deal with, and are symbols for the worst that human nature has to offer.
In Canto 32, there are 2 rounds. Round 1, Caina, is reserved for the treacherous to Cain. This round name alludes to Cain in the Holy Bible who killed his brother Abel. The punishment for the souls here have their heads and necks out of the ice and are permitted to bow their heads, which allows them some protection from freezing gale and allows tears to fall without the tears freezing their eyes shut. Some people Dante sees here are Alessandro, Napoleon, Delgi Alberti, and Camicon. Round 2, Antenora, is alluding to Antenor, who was a Trojan believed to have betrayed his city to the Greeks. The punishment for the souls here is that they too have their heads above the ice, but they cannot bend their necks that are grouped above the ice. He only follows the soul of Bocca Delgi Abati and treats him savagely as after he accidentally kicks his head.
Canto 33. After Dante's exoneration, he comes across a sinner who is gnawing on the head of another man. The man who is doing the eating is Count Ugolino, and the brains from which he eats belong to Archbishop Ruggieri. The Count describes his situation to Dante about he and the Archbishop ended up in Anatolia in the first place. Ugolino and Ruggieri both plotted together, but Ruggieri betrayed Ugolino and threw him in a prison tower with his 4 sons. All of the men died in the tower because of starvation. As a result, Ugolino now spends eternity gnawing on Ruggieri's head as a consequence for his betrayal of him on Earth. The poets leave the man and enter Ptolemaea. As they enter, Dante feels a wind, as Virgil tells him that he will find out soon why it is there. One of the suffering souls cries out for Dante to remove the tears from his face so he can begin crying once again. Dante agrees on the condition that the spirit tells Dante his name. The spirit says his name is Friar Albigerio, who killed his own brother after inviting him to dinner. He is in Ptolemaea because this is the portion of Circle 9 reserved for those who betrayed their guest. Dante asks Albigerio if he is already dead, and he tells him that in Ptolemaea, the souls of its members, even before they died, can enter the circle of hell. The bodies of those soulless people are possessed by demons on Earth. Dante realizes this after Albigerio refers to the soul of Branca de Aurea, who Dante knows to be alive. Branca's reason for being in hell involves him murdering his father-in-law. Dante doesn't believe that his soul could already be in hell, but Albigerio proves otherwise. As a consequence, Dante does not remove the ice from his eyes as he promised. Dante and Virgil move on as Dante thinks to himself how Branca is from Genoa, a place where he believes that living on its own is very similar to hell.
Judeca, the final layer of hell. Named after Judas Iscariot, Judeca is reserved for those who are treacherous to their masters. These men lie completely embedded in the ice with their bodies twisted and distorted. Satan, who has 3 heads, a parody of the Holy Trinity, is fixed into the center. Each of his 3 heads clamps a sinner, who he rips eternally with his teeth. Along with Judas, Brutus, and Sassius are in Judeca. Having passed through the final circle of hell and crossing the river Lythe, Dante and Virgil arrive to the Mount of Purgatory, and this is where the Inferno ends.
Literary devices from Canto 31 of Dante's Inferno. Beginning with irony, Dante describes his face appeared to be long and large, as it at Rome the pine cone of St. Peter's, talking about the 3 giants that are found in the 9th circle. This is ironic because in the Catholic Church, the pine cone represents spiritual regeneration, fruitfulness, and eternal life, all words describe heaven rather than hell. Another piece of irony is when Dante explains that Nimrod is the king of Babylon. This is ironic because his whole life was spent trying to build a tower to heaven, but now he is in hell with a confusion of tongues. A simile is when Dante reads, "Then straightens like a mast above a ship." This is comparing how the giant Antaeus set Lucifer and Judas down, then straightened his back, looking mighty and strong, like a mast above a ship that is very durable and strong because it holds the ship together.
Some literary devices in Canto number 32 is the warmth of God's light and salvation is juxtaposed with the coldness of hell and their soul in this quote on page 259, which reads, "As they denied God's love, so are they furthest removed from the light and the warmth of his sun. As they denied all human ties, so are they bound only by the unyielding ice." Also, on page 261, there's an allegory with the she-wolf and the sheep from the earlier in the book is pulled in to compare the souls to goats and sheep in the quote, "O miserable rabble, you who keep the stations of that place whose name is pain, better had you borne goats or sheep."
Literary devices in Canto 33. Irony. Ruggieri being gnawed on for all of eternity after killing Ugolino is ironic because he killed the man via hunger and now he needs to spend the rest of his life in hell being eaten by the men. Allegory. The story of Brancaleone reveals that Dante hates Genoa because he reveals it as a place that living in is almost like being in a circle of hell itself. So it makes him feel like that the soul could be in hell while the person is still living in hell on earth.
Some literary devices in Canto 34 include imagery, irony, and allusions to both the Bible and history. Judas Iscariot, who Judecca was named after, is a biblical allusion to the disciple who betrayed Jesus. The two men he is with, Brutus and Sassius, are historical allusions to the men who betrayed Julius Caesar. The irony in this chapter is Lucifer himself. Lucifer means light bearer, yet he is the king of all darkness. Imagery in this canto is Dante describing how the sinners look so grotesque in their uncomfortable positions under the ice, from the quote, "Some like a bow bent feet to face." Dante's mood throughout Circle 9 is sardonic and callous because Dante has no pity for the souls who commit treason. Treachery has a modern connection because even today you can be placed in prison or sentenced to death if you commit treason. Congratulations, you have made it out of the Inferno and to the Mount of Purgatory.